Feedback. In this presentation, I will discuss why feedback is important, what it is, Hattie and Timperley's proposed model of feedback, and 4 commonly debated issues. Feedback is important because it has a huge impact on learning and achievement, and is useful for both teachers and students. The average effect size of feedback was found to be twice the typical effect size of schooling. Feedback fell in the top 5 to 10 highest influences on achievement, along with things like direct instruction and prior cognitive ability. However, there was considerable variability, suggesting that some types of feedback are more powerful than others. Feedback is information the learner can use to build on previously learned information, incorporate into their skill set, and apply to future tasks. Feedback can come in the form of corrective information, alternative strategies, information to clarify ideas, encouragement, evaluations of correctness, and more. Feedback can work through both effective processes, such as increasing effort, motivation, or engagement, or cognitive processes, such as restructuring understandings, indicating that more information is available or needed, or indicating alternative strategies. Hattie and Timperley propose a model of feedback to identify circumstances under which feedback has the greatest impact. According to the model, the main purpose of feedback is to reduce the gap between current understanding or performance and the desired goal. The model also includes some things students and teachers can do to reduce the gap. Effective feedback must answer 3 questions. Where am I going? Or what are the goals? How am I going? Or what progress is being made? And where to next? Or what needs to be done to make better progress? How effectively answers to these questions reduce the gap partly depends on the level at which the feedback operates. These levels are task performance, process of understanding how to do a task, self-regulatory or metacognitive process, and self or personal. Let's talk about reducing the gap. Feedback works by reducing the gap between current or actual performance and desired goal attainment. Students can reduce the gap by increasing their effort, developing effective error detection skills, seeking better strategies to complete a task, obtaining info that can be used to solve problems, and using self-regulatory proficiencies. Teachers can reduce the gap by providing appropriate challenging specific goals, clarifying goals, enhancing commitment or increasing effort through feedback, making goals more manageable, and creating an environment in which students develop self-regulation or error detection skills. Let's talk about the 3 questions. The first question, where am I going, corresponds to the notion of feed up. Feedback that answers this question concerns attainment of learning goals related to the task or performance. Goals provide success criteria which allow individuals to direct their actions, monitor their performance, and adjust as needed. Feedback allows us to set reasonable and specific goals. The second question, where am I going, corresponds to the notion of feedback. Feedback that answers this question concerns progress towards task or performance goals. This feedback is effective when it tells us how to proceed. The third question, where to next, corresponds to the notion of feed forward. Feedback that answers this question concerns greater possibilities for learning, including enhanced challenges, more self-regulation, greater fluency and automaticity, more strategies and processes, deeper understanding, and more information about one's understanding of material. Next in the model are the 4 levels of feedback. First is the task level. FT, or feedback about the task, is the most common type of feedback. It is also called corrective feedback, or knowledge of results, and concerns how well a task is being accomplished or performed. FT relates to surface-level understanding. It is most powerful when it is simple and concerns simple tasks, and when it contains information that is useful for improving strategy processing or enhancing self-regulation. One problem with FT is that it often doesn't generalize to other tasks. An example of FT might be a written comment on a test that says, World War I was called the Great War, not World War II. See textbook page 12 for details. This feedback identifies a gap in surface understanding of the material and provides information about how to proceed. Second is the process level. FP, or feedback about processing, is aimed at the process used to complete a task. It relates to a deep understanding of learning, which involves construction of meaning and relates to cognitive processes and transfer to new or more difficult tasks. An example of FP might be a written comment on a paper that says, "This page may make more sense if you use the writing strategies we talked about earlier." This feedback encourages the student to consider strategies they learned and apply them in their writing process. It tells the student how they could have improved this paper and also how to do better on the next one. Third is the self-regulation level. Self-regulation concerns the way students monitor, direct, and regulate their actions. It can also lead to seeking, accepting, and accommodating feedback. FR, or feedback about self-regulation, aims to improve self-evaluation or confidence to engage further on a task. It can help students to better and more effortlessly continue the task. An example of FR might be a written comment on a draft that says, "You already know the key features of an introduction. Check to see whether you have incorporated them into your first paragraph." This feedback provides the student with confidence to engage further with the task and a specific suggestion for how best to proceed. The fourth and last level is the self level. FS, or feedback about the self, is the least effective but most frequently used. It is often unrelated to the specifics of the task. It is too influenced by students' self-concept to be effective because individuals selectively focus on feedback that confirms their beliefs about themselves. Examples of FS include, "You are a great student," and "That's an intelligent response, well done." These do little to help students better understand the material or how to improve their performance. Let's move to a discussion of 4 commonly debated issues: timing of feedback, positive versus negative feedback, optimal feedback used in classrooms, and the role of assessment. Timing of feedback can be immediate or delayed. During acquisition, immediate error correction can result in faster acquisition. However, immediate error correction during fluency building can detract from the learning of automaticity. During processing classroom activities, immediate feedback is beneficial. Difficult items in a test involve more processing, so feedback should be delayed. This delay is unnecessary and undesirable for easy items. The next issue is positive versus negative feedback. At the task level, both types of feedback can be effective. At the process level, when students committed to learning receive negative feedback, they become more dissatisfied with their performance and set higher goals than those who receive positive feedback or no feedback. At the self-regulation level, effects of positive and negative feedback are mediated by commitment and self-efficacy. For students who are committed to their learning goals, positive feedback increases motivation. But for uncommitted students, positive feedback decreases motivation. For highly self-efficacious students, positive feedback may signify talent or potential. For students with low self-efficacy, negative feedback can negatively impact motivation and performance. At the self level, negative feedback is most powerful. The third issue is the use of feedback in classrooms. To make feedback effective, teachers must judge when, how, and at what level to provide appropriate feedback and which of the 3 questions to address. One should consider the nature of feedback, the timing, and how the student will receive it. Errors and disconfirmation are most powerful in climates where they're seen as leading to future learning. Student engagement is likely to be constrained by evaluative dimensions because of personal risk involved in responding publicly and failing. The final issue is the role of assessment. Assessments can provide students and teachers with feedback relating to the 3 questions at the task, processing, and self-regulation levels, but only if they provide information about the gap between current and desired performance. Assessments also provide teachers with feedback about their teaching. Unfortunately, most assessments are merely used to assess students' level of proficiency. Let's review. Feedback is information regarding aspects of one's performance and understanding. It provides answers to 3 questions: how am I going, where am I going, and where to next. The 4 levels of feedback are task, process, self-regulation, and self. Feedback should be clear, purposeful, meaningful, and compatible with students' prior knowledge. It also needs to be simple, relate to specific and clear goals, and provide little threat to the self. Classrooms should foster peer and self-assessment and allow for learning from mistakes. Finally, feedback can only build on something. Thus, when students have little prior knowledge and skills, instruction can be more effective than feedback. This presentation was made for Education 320 Instructional Psychology at Simon Fraser University on November 27, 2020. Thanks for watching.